And we are live. I welcome all to our second version of the story stream, which is what we do story time every Thursday. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as it is today. Today we have a requested story. So we're going to be reading chapters 1 through 4 of Past Memories. It doesn't look like it's a very long story, but I will be self-editing if it gets a little too risque. This is a request off of DeviantArt from I Am Not Batman 1602. It is their creation, and we're going to be doing a read-through of their story today. If you have a requested story you want to be told on the here, let us know. Otherwise, if you want to vote on what else we're going to read, I think next week we will be doing chapter 1 of Konosuba. So that is currently the current winning poll result. So we'll be doing some Konosuba next week. So I'll be happy to share that, and also tune in for our drawing streams on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also our gaming streams, which right now are Monday through Friday or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. We're going to be doing Fallout 4 again on tomorrow's stream, so come and join us there. Now, we're going to get on to the story. There's no art this time, so when I pull it up, I'm going to show you what I'm reading, and you can read along with me. So there we go. There's our nice little story right there on the screen. So, it's Past Memories by I Am Not Batman 1602. Lionel sat on his bed in a small dorm room, looking indignantly at the object that he had holding in his hands. The mask was that of a female, young, pretty, and with a familiarity about it. That when he would put it on, he would look like himself, but if he was born as the other gender. At his feet, a small brown cardboard box marked, "For my nephew," on the open top. It was a gift from his uncle, who worked in a shop selling antiques, trinkets, and novelties. And all the contents rightly represented their source, as if they were similar-looking masks, all female, but different in a few ways. Some were realistic, that if you put one on with a wig, people couldn't tell at a glance that you were wearing one. Others were masks from different cultures, wooden African masks, decorated Venetian masks, with brightly colored Chinese masks, among others. As he turned the mask over and over in his hand, Lionel did not know what to make of his uncle's gift. He emailed home for his college a few days earlier. Or he had emailed from home from his college a few days earlier, stating that he was well and healthy, and expressed particular concern that it came up recently in the semester's annual general meeting. That was coincidentally a few days before Halloween. Leaders of the drama club that he was a member of planned to an elaborate fancy dress party, and he was currently hunting for a good costume. He was flattered at his uncle's offer to help out, but female masks. He knew his uncle was an eccentric, and sent gifts from time to time to his favorite nephew, proven by the dream catcher on top of his bed, given to him on his 10th birthday. But Lionel wasn't the type to cross-dress. Not willing to look a gift horse in the mouth, he decided to make the best of it and try on each mask so that he would know what to make it an appropriate costume. Starting with this one, he stood up and walked to the full-length mirror he shared, and his roommate's masks in hand. He lifted his arms to put it on, he hesitated. He could have sworn that the ethereal glow was emanating from this mask. And did the mask tingle? It's just my imagination, he thought, as he put the mask on. As soon as the edges of the mask touched his face, everything went white. The life of Elizabeth Holmes was unique, a unique one to say the least. From early age, she was fascinated with computers and how they worked during her primary school years. She could have been seeking or seen tinkering with her father's electronic parts that he had brought home from work, seeing a bright future in their daughter. Her parents encouraged her to study to be able to qualify for entry into one of the most prestigious technical colleges in the country. She passed her school and college exams with flying colors and impressed classmates, colleagues, teachers, and lecturers alike. With her diligence, sure, there were failures and mishaps along the way, but Elizabeth's life was so far was going smoothly as life can go. She awoke to the sunlight coming from the nearby window. Why was she lying on the floor? She glanced around and had figured that it was not her dorm room. She slowly got up, but felt something was off with her. She remembered wearing a dress and a long shirt, not a hoodie and trousers. The name and logo of the university on the hoodie wasn't the one she went to either. What was going on? She stood up and looked at the full-length mirror in front of her. She was wearing spectacles. Her long black hair was tied back into a bun, but she was wearing the wrong clothes and felt that she somehow grew shorter than she had remembered. Then she had a sinking feeling about what had happened and took off the hoodie and sweatshirt underneath. She had the body of a boy her age. Not too fit, but not bad looking at all. Her face went red at the thought, but shook her head, mentally told herself to focus and put the clothes back on. She looked around the room. 2 beds, opposite sides of the decent-sized room, covering with blue wallpaper. Adorned on one wall was various motivational posters, and on the other wall were all posters of celebrities that she was unfamiliar with. 2 desks filled with books, one of which having bright red laptop and with a black charger wire running through a power socket underneath. Set along a window on the other side of the room, a cupboard filled with male clothing on the left, a round purple carpet decorating the white tiled floor. At the feet of one of the beds was a box filled with various female masks, possibly sent from a relative of the body that she was currently wearing. She felt her head and found a seam that had separated her face to the rest of the head. What is she? Despite her new revelations, she decided to look around for some more. In a trash bin next to the cupboard, there was a wrapping on the box that can be found along with the receiver's name and address. Lionel McDougal. And suddenly it came back to her. She remembered graduating at the Tech and marrying her fiancé, Scott McDougal. After a long, healthy relationship, she remembered working at a branch of one of the best tech companies in the country and loving her job. She remembered fondly the birth of her first son, Andrew, who grew up to be a fine young man. She remembered his marriage to a nice lady who supported him throughout his life, and she especially remembered their only son, Lionel. Lionel, the baby who chuckled when she cuddled him every time his parents brought him to visit for a visit. Lionel, the toddler, whom she helped perfect his robot costume for school play. Lionel, the boy who eagerly greeted her by telling her how many A's she got or he got gotten during his exams, and Lionel, a young man who was by her beside with tears in his eyes every moment she had to move on from this world before attending his first college. Moved on from this world. She quickly went to the laptop on one of the desks and checked the date. October 2019. She sat down on the nearby chair and thought her nephew's hand on her chin. She had been brought back through a mask, and her head was now inhabiting her grandson's body. How was this possible? Did the mask in the box work the same way? If she took off the mask, will her grandson return to normal? Where will the spirit go? Despite her questions, she did not want to interfere with her nephew's life any further and is okay with letting him find out the mystery of the masks on his own. But she wanted to at least let him know about her sudden temporary reappearance. Since the laptop was password protected, she settled for writing a short letter using a pen and piece of blank examination pad. My dearest grandson, Lionel. This may be absurd to you, but I'm writing this while inhabiting your body. I don't know how this happened, but it may have something to do with the mask by your bedside. If you want to experiment with them, make sure you have someone you trust by your side, so that things won't get out of hand. The lives that they may bring back may not be aware of the situation in the first place, as I have figured out, but I'm just as concerned as you are to see what they do. This is a great pleasure to me to see my grandson doing well and in college right now. Did you make nice friends there? What are your majors? Did you join in special activities? I kid. But it would be nice to communicate with a grandson that I hadn't seen growing up with his parents. Sincerely, your grandmother, from the beyond. Lisa. When she had finished, she let out a sigh at what she was about to do. Living was fun for a while. It lasted, but everything had to end at some point. She thanked him in her mind for involuntarily bringing her back. Put up his hands and let his fingers hold the seams that surrounded her face and pulled. Everything went white. That was our first chapter, and I gotta say, a bit puzzled. I first thought it was an aunt, and then we read it's a grandmother, and then we also add in the fact that she went to college with computers. It's confusing. It's a confusing mess. Story-wise, I get it. I get the concept. Yes, this is a masking story. Hi, Imbria Arts. You making audiobooks? Not really. This is what I'm just sort of, this is our story time. This is something I'm going to be doing regularly. I'm just going to be reading them. Different stories people request. This was a request today. We also will do our original stories account from time to time. If you tune into last week's, you can actually get the first 2 chapters of our isekai. We're going to do that monthly. I might also bring in my novel 11 Kingdoms in the future. But next week we will be doing Konosuba, because I think that's what we're currently voted at. Actually, let me check the charts here. But yeah, it's a weekly sort of fun thing. We're at 8 votes on it on DeviantArt, and actually it's tied from Konosuba and people's original works. So yeah, I'm absolutely happy to put in more stories. So actually, if you have one D&D master, I'd be happy to read yours as well. So yeah, I got my tea and gonna be just keep reading these stories. So we've got 3 more chapters to go. That was chapter 1. Uh, Two teenagers sit on their respective beds in a small shared dormitory. In the hands of one, a realistic looking mask of a young woman, fair and freckled. He examines it closely, turning it over and over, as if to look at for any secrets it hides. The other holds a letter written on a piece of examination pad, a strange message written on it, claiming that the first young man's grandmother had supposedly temporarily resurrected herself using a mask. Would I ever yeah, I'd probably read Demon Blade on the stream. If you guys, if it's wanted, I'll do some Demon Blade chapters. I do have somebody else who's going to be doing comic reads. That they wanted. I don't know which comics they're going to do, but they've asked for permission to do to do sort of voiced comics. I don't know if they're going to do Demon Blade or not, but I will be happy to read Demon Blade on the stream. I might even read some original, some stories that either haven't made it or make it in the future. So yeah, that might be an option to throw in some Demon Blade. All right, back to the story. Carlos Feliz looked up from what he was just read and asked, "This is absurd, Leo. Let me get this straight. This mask apparently you just turned you into your grandmother?" His best friend, Leon McDougal, gave a puzzled look. "Apparently that's what the letter said. I swear, I don't remember writing this. After I found you passed out on the desk with the mask and the letter beside you, I want to believe you, but I find this magic mumbo jumbo hard to believe. Do you want me to put it on again?" "Goodness, now. That would be weird if it worked. Don't give it to me either. I don't want to be your grandmother either. What we need is to test the subject. And I know just the person." "Who?" "Allison. When I came back from getting dinner from McDonald's, I found her on the couch of the common room, pretty exhausted from her late evening's tennis practice, apparently. Don't we need her permission or something? I can't just let the mask possess anyone willy-nilly." "Relax, Leo. She's already unconscious, thus she won't notice a thing, and when whatever's in that mask takes over. Besides, when your grandma passed, you were going on and on about how you missed her so much. Don't you want to see her again?" "I don't know. That would kind of selfish wish." "Well, I tried. Now you can go to bed with curiosity of that mask constantly gnawing away at you. Don't say I didn't warn you." Lionel scrunched up his face. He's curious. He knows Carlos, too. He had a feeling that his friend might find a way to experiment on the mask without him. He sighed. "Fine, you win. Let's go downstairs," he exclaimed to Carlos's delight. Walking down the stairs from their dorms on the first floor, the two boys soon came to the common room and found the front lobby of the Greendale University hostel. The room was large, as a public swimming pool, with wallpaper depicting ivy climbing up the walls and a white tiled floor. The wooden front desk was staffed by a woman in her 30s, who waved to them as they passed by, before turning back to YouTube video she was watching on her computer. On both sides of the hall were two groups set for guests, consisting of a sofa and 2 armchairs. Sure enough, one of the sofas lay a clearly tired Allison Lestrade, and acquaintance of Lionel and Carlos, who had been seen once or twice. She had hair dyed blue, which was tied up in a ponytail, and wore a visor, sleeveless shirt, track pants befitting an athlete. Her muscles on her arms, her legs were noticeable, evidence to her lifestyle of fitness. The two boys approached. She dozed off into a sound sleep. I'll keep an eye on Miss Patricia. You go ahead and put that on, Carlos whispered. Cautiously, Lionel held the mask he brought with him towards Allison's exposed face. She didn't move. As the edge of the mask came into contact with her rosy cheeks, a faint glow emanated from the mask. Lionel watched as black streaks appeared to spread across her hair, which shifted and seemed to tie itself into a bun as a hairpin appeared within the folds. The facial features of the mask shifted to appear more human. Soon enough, Lionel can't discern whether she's a sleeping girl who wore a mask at all. From the glow, a pair of spectacles paraded and placed itself on the bridge of the girl's nose. Carlos, occasionally looking back from watching the front counter, gave a look of surprise and then interest at the changes that were taking place. Then, as quickly as the change began, it was over. Allison's body and clothes were untouched by whatever magic that was in that mask. The boys looked at each other, and then Allison. If she had even Allison now, it's as if she was a completely different girl, from at least the head up, at least. Is that your grandma? Carlos asked. I expected her to be older. Lionel finishes. Yeah, I think so too. Is this like a younger version of herself? I don't know. Can you wake her? Gently, Lionel put his hands on Allison's shoulders, started to shake. The young woman began to stir, and her eyes slowly opened. Two teenage boys stood over her, and looks of curiosity both in their face, but one of them she recognized. Lionel? Granny Lisa? He asked. She smiled and nodded. The three teenagers present... All right, so I guess this is the next chapter, actually. So... Sorry, I'm going to take a bit of tea here. So, basically, while this girl was sleeping, they put this mask on. A little... But we'll go with it. Chapter 3. Three teenagers are present with a small dorm room. A black-haired boy in a blue university hoodie jeans is sitting on his bed and looking at a young girl in a tennis outfit and a visor with her black hair tied into a bun and speckled eyes looking back at a swivel chair on one of the desks in the room. Equally eyeing her with curiosity is a brown-haired Latino boy wearing a black t-shirt with a four-leaf clover print and a pair of beige trousers on his bed, or from its bed. The trio stared at each other in silence for a few moments, deep in thought at what had just transpired a short while ago. Many questions popping into their heads at least. Quite an atmosphere broke when the blue-hooded Lionel McDougal spoke up. Could I ask how this whole thing happened? But you seem as much as in the dark as about this as we are. The young girl currently an amalgamation of the fit and muscular body of Allison Lestrade and the bookish, freckled head of the mind of Elizabeth Holmes. Apparently, Lionel's grandmother answered. So, it would seem, with enthusiasm in his voice, the brown-haired Latino Carlos Flies explained, Well, uh, we've seen, we've seen prove, guessing it's seen proof that the mask works, logically. The other masks should work the same way as well, right? The other two looked at him. The box of masks on the floor, no disagreements raised. Lionel changed the subject. How are you feeling? You know, being brought back and all. Funny enough, it's as if I never died. I'm alive, breathing, and strangely much more it's energetic than I've been in my youth. I'm not the sports type, you know. Carlos piped up. What's it like to be on the other side? Well, it's kind of hard to explain in words. It's somewhere where I can feel at peace with my loved ones who have passed as well. Lionel questioned, can you see what's going on down here on Earth? You don't really tend to notice things once you've left the confines of the living. But somehow, after you put on that mask, Lionel, I've kind of been made more aware of the happenings on Earth. It's like a large one-way mirror had opened up in space, and I can observe things that are going on down here if I choose to. Wow, the boys continued listening, awed at her explanation. I guess that's solid proof that heaven exists. Best be on our best behaviors while we're still breathing, Carlos joked. Cut it out, Carlos. Lionel gave a playful punch to his best friend's shoulder, Elizabeth looking on and smiling. Turning to the girl sitting at the desk, Lionel quipped, it's kind of awkward, you know. I've seen you many times, and you've looked so... Hey, Elizabeth explained with red cheeks. I don't look old now. If people didn't know you better, I could have easily passed for your sister, or better yet, she smirked, your girl... Okay. I'm sorry for calling you old, Lionel shied. Apology accepted, the young girl answered proudly. Shuffling herself close to the end of the bed facing the desk, Carlos asked, so, if that's Allison down there, can you, feel her presence or, her voice talking in your head or something? No, Elizabeth explained, exasperated. And I feel so guilty of taking her body without permission. Would she be okay with this? Nah, said Carlos. She passed out on the couch when we found her. She's probably going to sleep until morning anyway. In the meantime, this is your chance to connect with you, Leo. You wouldn't believe how attached he was to you, especially when, Lionel blushed. I know. Let's go out and go out for a nice supper. The dinner where both of us usually hang out, or the diner where both of us usually hang out, is the opposite side of campus. Anyway, and I don't mind going there for the seconds. It sounds like a brilliant idea. Will you be okay with this, Lionel? Lionel nodded sheepishly. So that's 3 pancakes, extra maple syrup, and 3 glasses of milk for the 3 of you, the waitress asked, adjusting her dark blue apron. Yeah, thanks, Peach, Carlos chirped happily. All right, say, who's your girlfriend there? Peach asked, coughing, coyly. Lionel blushed, looked downward, and Carlos interrupted. It's a cousin. Yeah, she's visiting from outside of town. Sure, I'll go and get your orders. As Peach moved to the kitchen to communicate the order, Elizabeth began the conversation. Shy around girls, Lionel? Nah. He's he's shy around everyone else, unless it's someone whom he knows very well, and that includes me, Carlos answered for him. Uh, Everyone excludes includes girls. Sort of, but man, you should see him act. He's like a different person on stage. Some of us in the drama club are beginning to suspect his shyness is just a clever act. Trying to change the subject, Lionel asked, Grant, Lisa, can you still remember the time you spent with me throughout your whole life? How could I have forgotten? I may look like I'm in my teens now, but I have the mind of a woman who's experienced most of life has to offer. Oh, the stories I could tell the next generation. Any embarrassing ones about Lionel? Carlos asked mischievously. Well, there was one incident involving a bake sale and some Play-Doh in which he doesn't want to talk about. Lionel interrupted with his face growing redder. Elizabeth and Carlos began bursting laughing. And Dalma. All right. These stories are just as confusing as First Teacher Punishment and Dollmaster. Well, I don't write. To be fair, I don't write those. Generally, I just kind of write some of the scripting. But the scripts are fully written of those. Well, Teacher's Punishment is written from each page to each page. There will be a new page of Teacher's Punishment coming out next weekend for private groups. I'm not doing it. There will be no public release because of an incident that occurred. But yeah, next weekend we'll have not this coming weekend, but the next weekend will be the next Teacher Punishment. I also have a offshoot of Teacher's Punishment to do commission-wise. I've been trying to work on some of my commissions during the week that I've been off these last few weeks, which I'm getting through. It's just I've got a couple of them to do. Dollmaster, that just released this weekend publicly. That one's fully written. I have a full script story to follow, and they tell me what to do. So I break it down, and I'll add in a few lines here and there. And we changed a bit of the early part of the story to be a little bit more effective of a story. But we're still going on, and yeah, it's and I hold it to it. If anybody becomes a patron and puts down a request, I'll put it into a comic. It's just you got to be a patron. You got to be a patron at least for a month, so you have to have it paid for a month. So yeah, I would read those, but I don't know. I mean, those are very confusing stories as well to put on here. I myself am kind of puzzled as what's going on. I know a little bit what's going on with Teacher's Punishment, but it's only through the conversations. I don't know much. So, yeah. It's enjoyable. All right, let's get back here. All right. Relax, bro, but seriously, I want to hear the story when he's not listening. Seeing his best friend feeling very uncomfortable, Carlos switched topics. Hey, bro, I brought one of those masks with me. He picked up the mask of the Japanese woman, painted white with a piece of cloth wrapped around her mouth and forehead. Want to try it out? Although I don't want to mess with other people's lives as much as you do, I admit I'm kind of curious as to the nature of these masks, Elizabeth noted. Well, who do you want to try it out on, assuming the three wanted to witness it? Lionel asked. At the time, Peach arrived at the table with pancakes and milk. Here's your order. Sorry to keep you waiting. Idea popped in Carlos's mind. Hey, Peach, would you mind sitting with us for a moment? I don't think there's many customers this time anyway. Why not have a little chat? Well, Peach replied, as soon as she took a seat next to Lionel on the four-seater. Sure, I guess. Mr. Red won't mind. Lionel took a good look at Peach. Unlike her video game namesake, Peach Lebowski is a brunette, long-haired, reaching her shoulders. She's wearing a dark green sweater, blue jeans, white sneakers, dark blue apron with a name tag on it. She's about the boys' age and has been sitting near them in class and is one of the few university students to take part-time job at the Red, at Blue and Green Diner, named after the joint's proprietors. The diner itself isn't a very huge establishment, having four-seaters, four more sets of tables and chairs, and a bar with 6 seats. Its walls are plastered with dark green wallpaper, and the low lighting and calming effect of the patrons. Ambient piano music filled the air as the 4 teenagers chatted down with each other. So, your cousin, eh? Where's she from? Oh, the next town over. She's not that distant, Lionel fibbed. I see. And what shall I call you? Peach explained, looking over at Elizabeth. Elizabeth, my friends call me Lisa, or Liz. Nice to meet you, Liz. What brings you to humble campus of neighborhood? Well, my cousin Lionel invited me to, Halloween, Lionel piped up. You know, the party the drama club had planned coming in soon. You know that. Yeah, that one. We even decided on costumes, Carlos explained, holding the mask. Want to try one on? Sure. I don't go to many parties, so any chance I could join? She asked while holding the mask to her face. I'll have to speak with Barry, our club event planner. He's one of the I guess it's supposed to be organizing to get together, Lionel said matter-of-factly. I see. What? Peach moved the mask closer to her face, but she hesitated. I'm a bit suspicious about this mask. I don't know why. There's something strange about it. Did you put, like, wet ink in or something in like that in it? Peach eyed her 3 acquaintances. We look like we're pranking types, countered Carlos. Fair enough. Peach shrugged. She put on the mask. The transformation, beginning as the edges of the mask touched her face. Everything went white from her perspective, but the trio saw a bright glow emanating from the mask completely covered her head. Within the light, they were able to make out the painted closed eyes on the mask as it began to look more human. The cloth covering the mask and the mouth stretched out to the whole head. Peach's long brown hair became darker, twisted itself into a long ponytail. Once again, the transformation stopped at her neck. The fairer skin of the Japanese girl personifying the mask contrasted with Peach's Caucasian tones. When the metamorphosis was over, the glow dimmed. The group saw, sitting next to them, what could be best described as a female ninja with a diner waitress's outfit. Black cloth completely wrapped around her face, except for her eyes and the ponytailed hair. Grab some more tea here. Lionel turned to his friends, who had stunned faces, which then turned to the curiosity as Carlos nodded towards Peach, whoever she was now. As Lionel reached out to touch the girl, her eyes opened, piercing and fiery red, and she did a backflip off the four-seater with cat-like reflexes, kicking the table and knocking over glasses of milk in the process. She landed on the floor and went to the defensive stance, eyeing the 3 teenagers with suspicion and uttering a question of perfect Japanese in unfamiliar voice. Anata wa daresuke? 4 teenagers stared at each other within the within the red, blue, and green diner. Tension flaring in the atmosphere. One of them seemed like the odd one out, and the dark cloth wrapped around her face, like that of a shinobi's old, reaching from nearby shelf or reaching for a nearby knife from one of the tables. The other 3 backed away from the 4-seater, half-eaten pancakes and glasses of milk spilt on the huge mess. They could not take their eyes off of the female figure, with the head of a ninja and the body of an acquaintance of a waiter of the diner. There was a silence for a few minutes, except for the ambient piano music in the air. Picking up the knife, the Japanese girl pointed it at them and asked in her native tongue with more serious tone, "Anita wa torunaisuke soroto takadatsuka." I apologize if I'm missaying these. What's written, and I'm trying my best with the Japanese. She noticed one of the boys lean towards her friends and whispered, her acute sense of hearing picking up his words. "Do you guys know any Japanese? I don't think hours of anime prepared me for this." The words of the foreign to her, but surprised she could understand him. It's as if somehow the knowledge of his language flowed into her head, allowing her to better comprehend and communicate with strangers. She tried to string together a proper sentence, her mind somehow connecting the meaning of the words, which were alien to her. "Are you friend or enemy? Who are you?" she questioned hesitantly in a voice heavily accented but clear. The eyes of the 3 friends widened. "You can understand us?" one of the boys asked. "Yes," she said after a moment of thought. "We're not enemies. We're definitely not enemies. You can trust us," the boy spoke with panic tone. "Trust you?" Yeah. We mean you no harm." The ninjas cautiously approached the table, taking one of the chairs as she went. Her eyes scanned the table. No chopsticks in sight, but strange metal objects. Could they be weapons? With a swift moment, she swiped all the spoons, forks, and knives on the table and placed them on the floor below the chair she was sitting on, her hand holding the knife hidden from view under the table. If hostilities persist, she was the only one who was armed. The girl sitting with the 2 boys watched with an inquisitive look in her eyes, her right hand stroking her chin. "Interesting," she muffled. There was much questioning from the historically silent spy sitting across the table. As far as she could tell from their explanations, she is in America, a place across the sea from her home country of Nippon. She had somehow transported into the far future, with new technologies which new technologies are discovered, including lighting, without the use of fire, and the use of magic tablets of metal, which information was passed around. When she asked about a war she heard a country was embroiled in, neither of them could comprehend what she was talking about, until the girl Elizabeth mentioned Oda Nobunaga, a fearsome warlord during the Sengoku Jedi Warring States period, medieval Japan, as they call it now. They told her the war was long over, that Japan, after many conflicts, has been peaceful since. Not since nobody got Naga's time. I'm sorry. War continued on for quite a while after Nobunaga. He was a bloodthirsty tyrant. Great man, but bloodthirsty tyrant. As to how she got so into the far future. They told her she was one of many magic masks in the possession of, that, as they understood it, held personalities of whoever they were supposed to represent, further conformed by the seam dividing the masked portions of her face and the rest of the host's head. Elizabeth was one too, being the grandmother of Lionel, the boy sitting next to her. Carlos, their acquaintance, also introduced himself. She was currently wearing a body of the diner's waitress, Peach, with Elizabeth inhabiting the body of the girl, Allison. When they asked about herself, she was hesitant, her shinobi instincts warning her not to give any information away to the people whom she had just met. At least they betray her in the end. But then again, the home she was recognized is long gone, along with her family, so there was nothing to protect by hiding herself away. Additionally, what she would tell would be a history of the three people in the modern era. Fascinating story of strangers across the sea. Thus she began. My name is Kage. I was born and raised in one of the many villages of the Iga province. We lived in a simple life, my family and I. We planted rice and traded with other villages for fish, meats, charcoal, and many other goods to survive. Sometimes merchants would come by and give us luxuries in exchange for our produce. Our existence was a peaceful one, and we grew to love it with contentment in our hearts. What would I rate this out of a 10? I don't know yet. I've got mixed feelings. I'm not a fan of the masking. I've stated this before. I actually don't care for masking. It kind of creeps me out. But because people are out there and fans, I'm proud to do it. I'll be happy to support them. It's just not my thing. This story is a little creepy to me. It's a little creepy. Hey, to each their own. So far we haven't gotten into too weird territory. The Japanese stories, yeah, I can tell they've done some study of Japanese. I guess it's supposed to be Kaige or something with her name. There's no umlaut or anything other there to try and give me the sort of way it's pronounced. But yeah, so far I'll give this about a 7 out of 10. It's a coherent story, and they're carrying it through. There are places that are a bit rough, but I mean, I can't say much because my own stories are rough. Not a fan of masking. Interesting. You're one of the best artists to draw best. Yeah. I have a huge fan base of maskers. I admit, and I don't care for it myself. It's not my thing. I don't mind TF stories. And being trans myself, I don't mind it. I get what people want to do it. I just, yeah. The concept's a little creepy to me, but then I get it. Back to the story. However, as I get older, a flame started in my heart. I grew to yearn for daring adventures like the stories my mother and father told us before we went to bed. Tales of brave samurai and cunning ninja, warriors who journeyed across Nippon, and services to their master. I wanted to see the wider world of village. So I took to the opportunity, came and enrolled in school where we trained shinobi. Okay, I'll get to that. I will get to this point later. I'm going to start this actually, because I want to get to I want to explain something about shinobi and samurai. Because being a fan with Demon Blade, or doing Demon Blade and doing history with Japan and elements, there's important things to note with the shinobi. The process wasn't easy, but I embraced the skills and techniques I came to learn. I learned to conceal myself from view of my foes in the shadows in the plain sight. I learned to steady my mind and stay calm even in dangerous situations. I learned to use my surroundings, my advantage, to make tools to help further my objectives. After years of hard work and determination, I was ready. At the time, a civil war in the capital broke in the nation of the warring states, each loyal to their daimyo and hostile to each other. The general Oda controlled the province. Nobunaga attempted to bring all others under his rule to unite the Nippon under the might of the conquest. But it wasn't interesting in getting close to the conflict. So I did minor espionage and missions called for local daimyo for a fair price, which I gave my family support whenever I had the chance. Though through my tasks, I was able to see the world, the wider world of Nippon, from Osaka to Edo, far away from the active combat, of course. I was happy to have my dream fulfilled. On one day, a local daimyo called me to collect my secret information from another daimyo. It was supposed to be a simple job. I did my best to investigate the main palace of my target through questions under various guises, of course, not arouse suspicions and observations and shifting of the guards and routine occupants. When I had understanding where to go and what to look out for, I infiltrated the place at night, sneaking past the guards and using the shadows as distractions for cover. I approached the room where secrets were kept from the all rafters. The guards were outside the room in the dark. Nobody would suspect a thing until much later, when I was long gone. I landed quietly on the floor and went to the chest at the corner to claim my prize. The last thing I recall hearing was the unsheathing of a blade. Piano music was only sound in the diner as Kage finished her story. Lionel, Carlos, and Elizabeth stared at her, stunned. Part of their reaction is because they had an account from an actual feudal era ninja. Another part of the concise description of her death, feeling her soul somehow be connected to the mask of her host was wearing. Lionel asked, "Do you know anything related to mask at the time before you, well, you know?" "Died?" asked Kage. "No, unless there's something in the room that caused this. I was focused on getting the job done, that is. How about you, Elizabeth-san?" "Nothing for me either," Lionel asked. Lionel. Alright, it wouldn't be San, it would be Chan. Or another female. San would be male. So that's one issue. She saw him looking down, probably upon melancholy, possibly touchy subject. I cannot confirm that. What's that afterlife like? Carlos piped. Afterlife? Kanye questioned, curious or confused. "You don't have a place to go after you die?" Lionel asked. "I don't know," Lionel said. Darkness came. But then came a light. I started as a small dot and grew to surround me. I was fearful, already reasoning that I was dead and will be brought to Yome to be judged. But then I saw the spirits of my forefathers beckon me to join them. They were smiling and told me the tales of long past. When I was with them, I met peace. I don't know how long my stay in the afterlife lasted before you brought me here." "We're sorry to have disturbed your rest," Lionel apologized, before kowtowing as he could. Kage sighed. "It's all right. Besides, because of you, I now know the place you call America, and you have new friends to talk to. It's lonely being a ninja despite my earlier peace. I yearn to know now what has gone with my home village in my absence." "Your family must have been worried sick," Carlos mused. Curse my clumsiness. Of course, there would be secret assassins under the daimyo's hire that nobody would know about. Well, all that's a distant past now, she continued, unwrapping the cloth to reveal the young face of the maid, which made the boy's cheeks flush with red. I'm now a stranger in a different time and a different place. This isn't even my own body, and I loathe to hold on to it for too long, despite wanting to know more about the physical world. Yes, Elizabeth spoke. It's getting late. You two boys should go to bed now. Don't worry, Carlos reassured them. Leo and I will find a way to bring you back without disturbing people's lives, or, at the very least, with their consent, right, Leo? Leo nodded. Getting up to the last bit here. The eventual cleanup wasn't too bad. The four of them did their best to wipe up the spilt milk in the paper napkins, toss the leftovers in the nearby bin. After that, the matters of taking the girls home. Luckily, the hostel that they were staying in was a number of keys, so it was no problem bringing in Peach and Allison into their rooms. The girls' room aren't that much different from Lionel's and Carlos's shared space, but they're decorated to suit their interests, with athletic Allison's area having tennis equipment nearby, while the passionate Peach had romance novels on the shelves. Near her bed, crumpled up fan fiction drafts in her dustbin. Before the visitors left, they said their goodbyes their own way. Kage sat on Peach's bed, noting how much larger it was from the futons back home, before smiling and removing her mask, the lifelike eyes becoming painted once more, and revealed the unconscious Peach, who'd slumped on her bed, snoring away. As she had removed the dark cloth, the mask instead showed the pretty young face of Kage, as much as she could be conveyed through paints. Later, sitting on Allison's bed, with an "I miss you," Elizabeth gave Lionel a quick peck on the cheek, which made both Lionel and Carlos blush before removing the mask and letting Allison fall asleep on her bed. Before Carlos could tease him about it, Lionel mumbled, I kissed my grandma so many times. It shouldn't be any different. That's the end of this story. So, of past memories so far. I believe that the person who wrote this is going to be, let's see, the I Am Not Batman 1602 on DeviantArt is going to be probably continuing this story. If you liked this story, please not only like and subscribe to me, but go over and give him some love. Again, that is I Am Not Batman on DeviantArt. Give him, like his story. A couple things I wanted to note, especially in this story. When I wrote Demon Blade, and when I still write Demon Blade, I usually will do a lot of research in Japanese lore and history. One of the things to note, and this is one of the things that sort of anime and manga kind of fantasized over the years, and stories have fantasized, is that ninjas aren't what we think they are. They weren't what they in the past. They weren't the thing. Typically, they were farmers, the ones that would fight back. They would just be mercenary farmers. Other times, they were suitors. More often, there were more female ninja shinobi than male, and they would be just assassins. They're just hired assassins. But I mean, even samurai could technically be declared ninja at times, because a samurai would have to learn the same techniques. The concept comes from one, and I think it's the Kishu prefecture. It's just that prefecture of the legend of samurai, or of ninja. Could you maybe show us a sneak peek of the upcoming art? I could try. I have to actually put this on a different thing. Here, let me see where I'm at with art here. And see, it's popping up over here on the screen. I can actually show you something. Let's see here. Let me see if I can switch the window capture while we're live. Let's see. Clip paint. So, to the over here on this side is a new comic. I'm not able to show my mouse. Over on the side, you're seeing a comic that's in the works. This is actually the next would be next week's Demon Blade page. We are officially getting to the appearance of Tetra, which is Tetsu's female form. So this is actually the page that she'll be appearing on for the first time. So we get introduced to her backside before we get introduced to her front side. Other things, let's see here. That's a request. And I think it's blank. And then a little preview of Drawtober. So there's the first unofficial glimpse of Drawtober a few days early. That is day 3. It was completed this morning. I don't want to show day 4, which is just going to be Naruto, but I haven't gotten started much on it. But yeah, through October, there's going to be releases every day for a month. Early previews on Patreon as of right now. For the series, it is, or for the series of drawings, they're just going to be drawings. A lot of them are masking. It's masking themed, so characters are unmasking from one to the other. But yeah, that is a glimpse of what's to come. Let's go back to our story here. But over and all, I mean, this is a good way for us to, once again, this is our weekly sort of thing we're going to be doing. Next week, I will be not having a picture over here. I will be reading from the book that is Konosuba. I have the hard novel copy. Used to do a day stream, Patreon, art drawn. I can't do it, unfortunately, through private links. Patreon requires money to do that, to do private streams, and it requires tech that I don't have. I tried it. It didn't work. I might do a day stream. Probably might do one in the future, but it's not going to be next month because of how busy next month is. I've literally been trying to get through a bunch of commissions I've been holding off on because next month is going to be so busy. October is usually my busiest month. I will still be doing streams, but I will be doing art crazily, and I'm still also trying to get a new job at the same time because I need to pay bills. But I mean, I would love to do a long stream, and I probably will in the near future. I might save it up and do it for, because I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for, we have an anniversary for my website, which is embryarts.com. I started that website in 1996. So this year it will be 25 years on December 10th. So I may do a long stream drawing session on December 10th. I haven't solidified anything. That's still up in the air. But that is a possibility. But, I mean, we do live drawing streams every Saturday night. They are request streams. They are art streams, and it is part of the Dining and Doodles lineup. So if you follow the hashtag Dining and Doodles on any of the social medias, you likely will find us. And you'll find each video as they go out and new art comes out. And those are, as long as they're friendly for YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, they will go on the air. Thank you for the anniversary. Yes, congrats on the anniversary. It is great to do it. I definitely will touch upon a lot of old stuff. On at least I know I'm probably going to do a stream about it on the 10th. I don't even know when the 10th is here. Uh, Let me see. When is the 10th? So the 10th is a Friday stream. So I might do, instead of a game stream that day, if we're still doing game streams on Friday, we might do a anniversary stream and special. And I will look back to all the stuff that will start with Sailor Moon, Andromeda Factor, and others. Would I ever considering the sketch version of Patreon comics to Patreon before the color, so changes can be made? Yeah, absolutely. If a Patreon requests it, I will do that. Typically, I do them though in one day, so they gotta be active that day. Sometimes I'll do them ahead of time. Usually, I have to get script approval from some of the people on Patreon. But yeah, absolutely. If somebody wants me to do a sketch approval, I will be happy to do that beforehand. Well, actually, that is it. Like I said, this is a short stream. We're not going to be doing these as long streams. Our longer streams are our drawing stream, which is 2 hours, and our gaming streams, which usually runs 4 hours. So today, I'd like to thank, especially you, D&D Master. Thank you for chatting in and joining in on the stream. Thank you for whoever else was watching with us. And if you have, if you have a story you want to be told on this stream, by all means, message me, send me a message, or leave a comment below. And I will be happy to add it to the lineup. Also, we have our drawing streams every Saturday night at 8 p.m. We take requests for that. I do have a lineup right now of people wanting to complete the list for Drawtober this fall or this coming month. I have almost completely filled it with each person having one request. So that will be starting on Friday. Those will start releasing. Demon Blade also comes out in a few hours. I will be actually, when I get done here, I'll be posting it on a few sites. So I hope you have a good evening. We will return next week with the first chapter of Konosuba. So I hope you have